Hey Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune, and in this video, we're going to talk about something that hasn't happened in the game in a very long time. But before that, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me at Twitch at twitch.tv/WildNeptune. Okay, so, what hasn't happened in the game in a long time? Nerfs. Not bug fixes, but a unit being specifically targeted because they are too strong, toxic, bad for the game. Nerfs. We're going over why they probably haven't happened in a long time. Do they need to happen? Some examples of previous things have been nerfed, and some difficulties in nerfing certain things. So first off, this is maybe the most complex one, but why haven't they happened? Well, a couple of reasons, and I think both of them are more business decisions than balance choices. So but one of the last times units got nerfed was way back in 2019. By the way, the last unit that got nerfed was Fire Corvus. Now, but right before them, Sage Ball, Amalera, and Arbiter Vildred got hit with their nerfs in mid-2019. And with these nerfs, they gave away ML 5-star selector tickets. So whenever a Moonlight hero is either nerfed or bug fixed for a reason, so whenever there's a recall, you do get to choose a new one. Now, they've only done it for the Moonlight 5-stars one time, right? And they've said that they're not going to do it again. And it's because of this, not of them saying they're not going to do it again. Why? I don't think they want to nerf heroes, right? Because if you only have one ML 5-star and that one gets nerfed, feels really, really bad. I mean, if any of them you have get nerfed, even today, where more and more players have Moonlight 5-stars, and a lot of them, like, eliminating one of them from your roster is not fun, right? And I think that's the other reason why they don't nerf units. It's just not good for business to make a unit weaker, right? You summon on a unit, and you expect it to be very good. And a few months down the line, it's too good, and it gets nerfed. Maybe not even a few months, maybe a few weeks, it gets hit by a nerf. And I think it's this philosophy that, hey, this unit, it might not be the most powerful unit, but I know it's not going to get weaker, at least in terms of its kit, right? It might get weaker because of a meta shift, right? But Smilegate is not going to directly hit it with a nerf. And nerfing things have caused issues in other games. What's that game called? World Flipper, right? The pinball gacha game. It basically died overnight because of a ill-timed nerf. A quick story, what happened was that there was a broken unit, ball in the game that was really strong, and people mega wailed on it. Basically, right after the banner ended, it was nerfed. And the game just died right after that. Like, to the point where World Flipper 2, I think, is coming out, right? Like, the first game is gone, basically. That's what an extreme version of like a nerf like that can do. And honestly, I think the no nerf system, to some extent, keeps Smilegate honest in its units. Now, for the downside, this does mean that for a very long time, Smilegate has not released a very powerful unit right off the bat. A lot of the strong units we have right now are either units that were like weaker, that were buffed, or they are like older units that never had to be changed in the first place, right? Like that's basically, or units that were like very, very strong that were actually nerfed. Like that's basically what it is. I think the only unit I can think of that were released post Fire Corvus that might have been considered to be too good is Less Rider Crow, right? And I think that's it. Because you have stuff like Pavel got buffed, and that's why he's good. Sage Ball got nerfed and then buffed, right? Arbiter Villager got buffed. Spectre got buffed. Carbon got nerfed and then buffed, right? Things like, and even units that have been buffed still aren't that good right now, right? And it's because of this that makes it like kind of feels bad almost to pull on units, because you're not really pulling for power. A lot of the times you're pulling for, hey, it's like this unit can maybe do this, and if it gets buffed in the future, well, it's going to be very good. Like Mortelix, right? Mort isn't very good, and people are waiting for his buff that will eventually happen. But when is it going to happen? We don't know. Like Luna. We want Luna buffs. But have those happened yet after like years? No. It's like the haste buffs, right? People wanted haste to be a PvP buffed. Well, he got buffed, right? But for PvE, basically. And is he going to get buffed again? Probably not. Some people waiting for those haste buffs. You know, Smilegate's like, yeah, here you go. So, there is that kind of issue too. But I do think from a business standpoint, Smilegate rather have the headache of never nerfing units versus maybe better balance, right? At the cost, at the cost of making more of their player base angry, I would say. Now, some units obviously have been nerfed. The last unit that was nerfed was Fire Corvus, way back in October 31st of 2019, so almost 2 full years ago. And he was nerfed basically because he caused such a toxic game state for PvP, which at the time was Normal Arena and Guild Wars, that he had to be changed, right? A legitimate strategy to beat him in Normal Arena was to kill off your own team members so that you would not proc his passives. That was what he made you do if you couldn't one-shot him. Now, would he be as big of a problem today as back then? Probably not, right? But they can't, like, rebuff him and then re-nerf him again just in case, right? Like, they can't really do that, and it's not, I don't think, an important enough issue where they're going to dedicate what I think, and this is me guessing, I'm under the assumption that the team working on Epic 7 is relatively small, so is that really a high priority for them to look at something like Fire Corvus and if it can be rebuffed, right? They have like so many other units that they had to get through and balance and check, right? And I don't think any unit right now meets the level of bad, like creating bad game states or unwinnable situations as something like Fire Corvus did, or like first buff Arbiter Vildred, or base release Sage Ball, right? I don't think anything reaches quite those levels. And I don't think anything reaches the level of the strength of something like Falconer Clary when she was pre-nerf, or Carmen when she was pre-nerf, right? Like, I said this in another video, but before Carmen was nerfed, remember, she had a 3-turn immunity. This was on a shorter cooldown, and this gave 30% crit damage reduction. FCC was out when Carmen was not nerfed, right? No, she got buffed recently, right? But before the Carmen nerf, FCC saw like no play. That's how insane she was. And again, I don't think anything quite reaches the level of the power of those units relative to the time, right? Now, will nerfs have to happen eventually? Maybe. Like I said, Smilegate has been very careful at making units be good, but not too good when they come out. And if they are like maybe a little bit stronger than they want them to be almost, they release like counters or do something eventually to make them not as good in the future, right? The more likely scenario is that a unit that has been buffed recently might need to get nerfed. And this is where you look at stuff like Carrot, Maid Chloe, things like that. Can I see them being like rolled back a tiny bit? Well, the Maid Chloe, no. I don't think an level 5-star will ever be nerfed again. And this is simply because they said that they were never going to give out an level 5 selector again. And I think level 5 stars, like, what you have is what you get. Unless there's like, okay, God forbid there's like a bug that happens in one of them, and they have to do it, right? But no, I don't think an level 5-star will ever be directly nerfed. As for RGBs, it's hard to say. They have to be like absurdly strong, I feel, to be nerfed. Like, I don't think Carrot reaches that point yet, right? But that's my opinions on the heroes and why they haven't done it, and some difficulties in doing it, like the compensation, what they said before, the community outcry over what's being nerfed. Also opens up kind of a floodgate in, hey, you nerf this unit, why not this unit? And, and so on, right? It's honestly probably a lot simpler for them just to handle buffing units. But very quickly, I want to go over the artifacts. Oh, I guess click here. Okay. I'm really gonna go over 2 artifacts right now, and that is Basket and Book. Basket is an artifact that used to suck, and then it got buffed, right? And now it's probably too good. I would say that Basket was definitely overbuffed. Now, Basket is an artifact that I can actually see being nerfed and it being fine, right? They can nerf this to like 35%, okay? And it'll probably be okay. Now, they would have to give a recall, right? Like give a artifact selector for it, right? Which I think is fine. And I don't really think it would change that much, right? It would make the Basket users a little bit less consistent, but I do think it can happen. Now, the problem is, should it happen now? Because a lot of some heroes like Mordekise, she needs Basket to kill Carrot, right? Stuff like that. Okay, it's like one of those weird things where, to some people, it might be like the lesser of two evils to have Basket at 40% for Carrot can die. But in a vacuum, I do think it would be an okay thing to happen. The other one, obviously, is Book. And I think, pound for pound, Book is the best artifact in the game. At least with PvP. It is just... having 20 souls at the start of the battle is very strong. And a lot of strategies and heroes have become relevant and meta because of this artifact. And that is why the artifact can never be changed. It's such a weird case where, because it's so good, overpowered even, is why it can never be nerfed. Because it would cause such a cascading effect if it was even changed to 19 souls, that it could almost eliminate styles of play, right? Like, units would just disappear. It would have such... it would be honestly a balancing nightmare if it was changed, right? Now, some things can be done about it though, right? Like, maybe certain heroes could do things like, just by existing on the field, passively take away some souls at the beginning of the battle, right? Like, that might be a thing, right? Maybe a new hero comes out where, at the start of the battle, they take away, like, 5 souls. Maybe even steal 5 souls. Like, something like that, right? We have heroes that take away souls with attacking, right? But not a passive yet, right? So, interesting things to think about there. And people talk about, well, what kind of artifacts can, you make for a mage that competes with something like Book, right? And that's a hard thing. You really can't. Like, every other mage artifact that's used, that's not Book, is used for a very specific reason. Like, for, like, a tech option, like Violin, something like Crown, or Etika's, right? Like, they're never used because, they're, like, universally good. They're used because they're good for that specific option. Book is just good almost no matter what you have. The other thing would be gearing and the dominance of the speed set. And even me, right? The self-proclaimed, like, user of the counter lifesteal type sets, I still have way more speed set items that I have, like counter lifesteal, destruction, right? Other things like combined, right? And this is because speed set is the best set in the game, right? I think some players want it where the sets have like more of a balance in when they're used. But I think it's kind of naive to think that that's ever going to happen. And I think it's always going to be a best set. Not only that, but more and more heroes have been coming out with strategies as the gear gets better and better. More heroes have been spawned from a speed set to lifesteal set or the counter set, right? Like, those numbers are growing. And growing because it's just a shift in the way the game is being played. And will speed set always be the best set? Yes. If I had to make a bet, I think it will be. Is that a problem? No, I don't think so. So anyway, those are my thoughts about nerfing units, gear, artifacts, and some of the challenges that comes with. If you like this video, well, you know what to do. It's been a good one. Nep out.